Hey! Today, between social media, continuous news, the omnipresence of screens and cameras, people who put themselves out there are often under scrutiny. A high-end microscope that not only detects flaws but also records them. What a blow to the ego. It must be stressful for some people to constantly avoid mistakes or saying something foolish. While for others, it's clear they don't care at all about telling big lies right in front of everyone. I'm fed up, please stop. Or contradicting themselves between statements as if counting on people not paying enough attention to catch the lies.
You can just put me on a lie detector.
Why not?
That's not possible, boss. Bestel hooked the detector to his citizens' band radio, and it went.
No, but it's fine, it's fine.
There may be more Bestels than we realize.
It's not worded that way, but I can say I won't replace the government.
Here we are with Emmanuel Macron at his January 16, 2024 press conference, broadcast on this channel at 8:15 post-meridium. Still, yeah, I can't wait for it to air everywhere, including computers and game consoles.
You have to watch that too.
This is a clip where he answers the question, will there be a 10% increase in electricity rates on January 1st, 2024? Even though we all already know that yes, that's the case, well, 10% maximum, and it just came out it's going to be 9.8%. 9.8 on the fooling people scale. Hello? Ah, yes, I'm watching right now, of course. And you are? The Gestapo, huh? What? No, but yes, I'm paying attention, okay? I shouldn't have answered? No. Room Gestapo plexi.
Electricity prices will return to normal.
Go back to normal. Well, that doesn't mean much, but I guess it's because it's going to drop back to the level of early 2021 before the increases started, just to be consistent with purchasing power. The norm, you know, right?
But above all, it will remain, regardless of what the government announces soon. Substantially lower than what is paid in Germany, Spain, and Italy.
So I want to tell you no. We've been paying much more than in Spain for a year now. And now, with the 9.8% increase at the beginning of February, we'll also be paying more than in Italy. And we'll even exceed Spain's rates by 50%. So, Macron liar? Exactly. A liar in prime time too. In front of all of France, well, in front of those who watched. Ah, but everyone watched him, right? It's mandatory. And even if it wasn't, I would have watched. But we do pay less for electricity than Germany. Thankfully, the Germans are far behind, still relying on coal. Their solar power is unreliable in winter, and wind energy isn't sufficient. No, but consider yourself lucky. We pay less for milk than countries that don't even produce it and have to buy it from us. Ah, phew. The worst part is, since everything's speculation in a globalized world, it's still up for debate.
You have to look at that too. So where it should have more than doubled...
Another lie. Without the price shield, we would have had an increase of about 50%, and that's because we're stuck in a crappy system, but we'll get to that later. That's why, after increases of 15%, 10 last year, and soon another 9.8%, we'll end up at nearly the same price as without the price shield. That's what he calls going back to normal.
Electricity likely increased by 25% last year.
Ah, that's a lie too. He might have dyscalculia, or maybe Stéphane Séjourné writes his notes. I know, there's Confucius. For me, French is tough, but I'm good at math. Bruno Le Maire handles the calculations. You have to admit, he looks better when he writes those erotic books, right? No, because 15% more and then you add another 10%, that doesn't make a 25% increase. No. Adding another 9.8% doesn't make it 34.8%. It's actually a 39% increase. Oh wow, that's just gibberish. You have to go to top schools to understand. I should have gone to top schools to understand because I had to study foreign languages for my minister internship. I didn't do it. Maybe it's intentional phrasing, a trick. Because we know, by gradually increasing, the frog ends up well cooked.
We'll keep having electricity prices much lower than our neighbors.
Well, he's lying through his teeth, we know that, and yet it should be the case. We're the best off country in Europe when it comes to electricity. If by best off you mean nuclear power, you must be out of your mind. Nuclear power? It sucks. Nuclear power? It sucks. It sucks. Nuclear power? It sucks. Hold this for me, there you go. Yeah, and for what? Wait, I'm tinkering. 1, 2, Light! Electricity is dangerous, so nuclear power, chosen over 70 years ago, is a decarbonized energy with a very low cost, and in the case of France, it gives the country long-term energy independence for electricity. That's quite something. And unfortunately also, I don't see it. No, not you. I mean the other guy. He's bleeding on my table. Fine, I'll handle it. Nuclear power also brings radioactive waste, visible power plants, and the risk of accidents, time of death. Now, every energy source has pros and cons. You can't have your cake and eat it too. But the problem is that in France, we have the downsides of nuclear power without the price advantages. And on top of that, we're getting screwed over. It doesn't matter whether someone thinks having power plants in the country is almost nothing, or on the contrary, that it's an extremely serious problem. It sucks. He's alive, hallelujah. He's risen, hallelujah. I checked his pulse in the rectum, but it's less reliable than people claim. People may not say that, but we all face the downsides of nuclear power. It's unfair to be denied the benefits, like low-cost electricity. Since Voynay's era, the Greens, with Socialist Party support, have long tried to dismantle nuclear power. But it took Macron to make it happen. Who, under Hollande, secretly sold French tech to Americans. That's enough. And who ran his first campaign being openly anti-nuclear before changing his mind 5 years later and being pro-nuclear for his second campaign. Strangely, the same people voted for him both times. So, while that likely didn't help, the main reason for the price increase is the European Union. The journalist should have asked, Mr. President, why do we keep getting screwed over by the European Union on the price of our electricity? Since 2010, the new Electricity Market Organization and its system, Accès régulé à l'électricité nucléaire historique, has gotten us into a mess with no clear name. Yes, Bruno, I'm Bruno Le Maire. Bruno Le Maire explains it best.
The European single electricity market doesn't work. It's absurd. In France, we get our electricity from nuclear power plants and hydropower, so we have decarbonized energy and a very low cost.
I agree with Bruno. It's not right that we pay so much.
But the European single electricity market means that electricity prices in France are aligned with gas prices.
That's just ridiculous. Everyone here, including Bruno, agrees. It's like pricing fish the same as meat.
So, we're taking the full brunt of this increase in gas prices, even though we have our own independence when it comes to electricity production.
We're matching our neighbors' electricity production, but when several power plants shut down, we don't know the reason. Well, sometimes we end up buying coal-made electricity from the Germans. That's smart.
It's completely absurd. We can't keep going like this. First, it's expensive for households. It's expensive for the French consumer, who, as a result, doesn't understand.
Well, actually, he understands that he's getting screwed over by the European Union. By the way, isn't it because Spain got out of this mess that they pay less for electricity than we do? Huh? Isn't that the beginning of a solution?
Second, we'll need increasing amounts of electricity, especially for things like electric cars.
No, but at least our government isn't forcing us to buy electric cars or replace fireplaces with heat pumps. All while not managing the energy this will require at all. We're avoiding disaster.
If electricity prices stay tied to gas prices, things will get out of hand. On Monday at the finance ministers' meeting, I'll raise the issue.
Bravo, finally some action. What will you tell them, Bruno?
And I'm going to say, the single electricity market operates according to rules that are obsolete. We need to completely overhaul the way this single electricity market works.
Come on, I'll give it to you straight. Bruno was told to shut his mouth, he didn't like it, and given the earthworm spine he's got, the very next day he changed his tune. Bruno La Mer de Terre at your service.
Electricity prices soared because Vladimir Putin, Madame Le Pen's ally, attacked Ukraine, causing energy costs to rise.
So, after 2 years of thinking, at the beginning of 2024 it's the RNE's and Putin's fault because of the war in Ukraine. Oh darling, we need to stock up on cheese. There was an earthquake in Japan. First, it's ridiculous that the war in Ukraine impacts the price of something made entirely in France. Even Bruno would have been shocked by that before being brainwashed.
Absurd.
But the worst part is that this video, where he finds it absurd, is from September 2021. Around the same time, the first signs of the price shield appeared. It's clear that electricity prices were already starting to soar, and yet that was 6 months before the war in Ukraine. February 24, 2022. No, but it's Bestel. He linked electricity prices to the European market, and that made... It's dumb, right? Every time he says something smart, well, he changes his mind. Like when he shared his thoughts on Macron.
Emmanuel Macron is a man without a plan because he's a man without conviction.
For Bruno, lying comes from being weak, opportunistic and pathetic, whereas for Macron it's more pathological. Examining Macron's governments, dishonesty seems standard. Darmanin, Dupont-Moretti, Udea Castera. I'm not even mentioning those who lied about their assets or had conflicts of interest. No, but what happened to politicians? Well, they've probably always lied a little, but not as often and not so openly, not caring at all that a whole bunch of people notice it right away. I have my own theory, but I'll save that for another video. For now, let's finish the president's explanation.
To our neighbors.
Ah, that's it? Electricity, end of story, and not a single journalist contradicts him? Oh no, that wasn't the format. It was one question per journalist, and no right to follow up. And besides, you had to consider yourself lucky just to be there in the king's court. Or steer him toward the real issue, no? No, you couldn't say whatever you wanted, especially if you wanted to stay for the buffet, okay? Well, so, in conclusion, we have a president of the republic who puts someone in charge of the energy file, someone who knows perfectly well that being in the European electricity market doesn't work, but who absolutely doesn't want to change anything. To follow a president he knows lacks conviction or a plan, it's clear they're lying to each other and themselves. And yet there are still people who believe they're acting in good faith and telling us the truth. PARADOXA. If you want a new PARADOXA next week, type on the keyboard. If you want a new PARADOXA next week, type on the keyboard. Thanks to everyone who likes, shares, comments and tips, and welcome to the 25 new tippers. I want to find a new way to thank you before summer besides my videos. I'm working on it. See you soon.